Hello everyone and welcome to Blue Tengu's live game development show where we show everything that goes into making a game from concept to completion. If you've ever wanted to make a game, we hope this will help lower that barrier to entry, maybe give you the nudge you needed to try it yourself. Even if you don't want to make a game, we hope you'll find some entertainment value in what we're doing here. All the information about where you can find us is in the Twitch info down below or in our YouTube profile for those of you catching us later. But just in case, we're at www.bluetengu.com, btengu on Twitter, facebook.com Blue Tengu Studio, and youtube.com Blue Tengu Studio for those of you watching the live stream with me now, and Twitch TV Blue Tengu for those of you watching us on YouTube who might want to catch us live at some point. If you missed any episodes, you can always catch them over at YouTube, but you shouldn't have any trouble following along even if you haven't seen them. For those of you who haven't seen the show on Twitch or YouTube before, my name's Eric. I'm a game designer living over here in Japan who's trying to show you everything that goes into making a game for about 2 hours a week. Been going over a little bit lately, including, well, show you everything that goes into making a game, including all of the ums and ahs and awkward debugging moments, of which we had plenty last week. The reason I'm showing it all as opposed to making the game first and scripting out a rehearsed tutorial is because I do want to lower that barrier, and I think if you see me floundering around, you don't feel so bad when you flounder around yourself. Hopefully you don't flounder around as much as I do. Thank you to everyone who dropped by last week and to all of those who watched the video on YouTube. For those of you here with me on Twitch, feel free to drop suggestions or ask me questions at any time. May not be able to answer them right away because I am working, and usually if I'm scripting, kind of focus on that a little bit, but I will try to get to them. And if I can't, please send me a private message here or leave a comment on our site or YouTube video. You can also send an email to eric@bluetengu.com, and I'll do my best to address it next time. If any of you are out there making something on your own, definitely send me a link, or you can post it right in the Twitch feed. I don't mind. I don't block the links or anything. Try not to be spammy, but, you know, go ahead and use it. And at this time, every week for 2 hours, I do come on to Twitch TV to work on the game, well, for this season, Project Spaghetti, which is a top-down 2D cowboy shooter where the bullets fired bounce around the screen with a pinball mechanic. Last week I got the player shooting and dodging with a click of the mouse, and though I left the sliding dodge to overtime, I did get it fixed. I did get it done, but I didn't do my usual deciding of tasks for next week because I was running over time. But I've decided to go with implementing kind of a result screen after each level before transitioning into the next one. And that should pop up between levels if I do it right, but I'll explain a little bit more about that when I jump into my task list. By the way, happy Valentine's Day for those of you who happen to be in my time zone, and happy Friday the 13th for those of you who are a day behind. I hope you get Jason a nice box of chocolates. Let's get right into this. Let's jump onto the desktop. And hello to Cirrus and Decent Scrimp who've already dropped by. Let's see, am I on my desktop? Yes, okay. Just want to make sure. And I should probably move that window up just to make sure I'm not scrolling off screen on you guys. Noticing something weird with Trello, by the way. Trello is where I keep my task list. It's public, so you can come on over and see what I'm working on anytime you want to if you search for Trello and Project Spaghetti in Google. But I've been noticing something weird with Trello lately in terms of like images and stuff. They keep like getting larger and smaller and larger and smaller. It's a weird little glitch that's been happening since yesterday, and I guess it's still happening. It seems to be calmed down a little bit now. But I guess before I get into what I'll do this episode, I will cover what I did in overtime. So, last week I did, left click to fire in a direction, which was really quick. The thing that was not quick was getting the mouse to make the player dodge and slide all around the place. The dodging was actually easy. It was just getting the player to slide that was hard. I did get that fixed. Also added a fader object for room transitions. Saving and loading. Used a different encryption method. Before I was using a hash file, and I decided to just encode things directly into the save file. Let me show you what I mean by that. It's probably easier to show it in Paintbrush than actually jumping into the code. But before, when the user used to save their information, there was information like top score and let's see, what else was there? Resolution, things like that. And this was just saved in a text file as is, so you could just jump right in and modify this stuff. To prevent users from just suddenly jumping their top score up to 1,000,000 by hand, what I did was I would take this file, and if I could draw my arrows correctly, I would also make a hash file from this file, which would be encrypted. And this just had a bunch of, random stuff in it, which you can edit. And the game would check to make sure that this hash file, when you loaded the game, matched up with this stuff in here. And if it didn't, at least this stuff, if it didn't, then it would kind of balk at you and say, all right, I'm resetting the top score to 0 because it's obvious you fiddled with this thing. But to prevent that, the easier way to do that Well, the reason I wanted to do it differently was because if the user did come in here and modify something, then suddenly they break their game, or if they lose this file, then suddenly things stop working, things like that. I didn't want that to happen, so what I did was used something that GameMaker does give you just in the code. I think it's base 64 encode and decode. What this does is it encrypts a string, so now instead of creating these two files, I can just encrypt this top score string and put that straight in the file. One file, the user isn't tempted to modify it. Makes things a lot simpler. Let's see, but I do have a post on that on the site. I'll show you that real quick. And it's just bluetengu.com, but moving to object-oriented menus in GameMaker, there's a little bit about it in here. The main thing, of course, is about changing the menu system, which is all of these tasks here. There's actually not much that the player is going to see different, but it makes it different for me because by moving all of these menus into something more object-oriented, before I used to have all this code that would tell text to go here at this point, and mouse clicks can happen here, and this is what responds and stuff like that. And it was a lot of code. It was working fine, but it was a lot of code. And the thing I was kind of worried about was, one, debugging it, two, if I wanted to change the strings, three, if I wanted to change the menus around, or four, if I wanted to expand things out. Made things a lot harder, just a lot of extra stuff. So now what I did was each of these menu items is actually its own little object right now, which handles its own mouse clicking and everything else. Because GameMaker doesn't quite do inheritance the way like C++ and other programs do, you end up having to rewrite a lot of stuff anyway. So it didn't save me a whole lot, but it did save me at least a little bit of this coding stuff, and it makes it a lot easier to move menus around and see things visually too, because I can use rooms. But that's all I did in overtime. Let's get into this episode. With this episode, awkward transitions. It's obviously going to be dealing with transitions. The thing I wanted to add was, before I was kind of thinking about having an extra room in between each level that would have, with my awesome paintbrush art skills, you would have a room here. You killed all the enemies, you get your little victory thing. What I was thinking about before was having, because it is, a cowboy game, having, like a wanted poster here with a little hint on the next enemy, and, maybe your score from the level and stuff like that, and then from there jump into the next level. But I think this is kind of overkill. Because when I was thinking about it, it's like, well, it's not like there's a different enemy every level, necessarily, so it seems kind of overkill to have a wanted poster, and it kind of takes players out of the game. So what I'm going to do instead of this is, let's see if I can draw it below here. What I'm going to do is, this part's still the same, you still beat the level, you still do your little victory thing, which will come in later, but instead of jumping to a different room, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use the pause screen function, or at least something similar to that, and just kind of dim out the background, still show it. Let's move this player, make him gray to kind of show that he's been grayed out a little bit. And then over this, put just a result screen. That shows, it counts up your score, it counts up your bonuses, counts up your difficulty multipliers, and it just kind of ticks up your score and then gives you the high score and stuff like that, or your stage score, your total score, and then if you beat your high score, then it boom pops that up. And then when you hit fire or whatever to continue, then it just jumps right to the next level. I think it'll be a little less intrusive if I do it that way. To do that, I am going to have to kind of modify the pause screen, make a new object out of what I have for the pause screen, and just kind of modify that. Hopefully that'll be enough to get what I need to do done. But not sure exactly how complicated this will be. It could go really quick, it could go really slow, so let's jump right into it. Let's see, I guess the first thing, I did break this task down into mini tasks. I think the text, I'll probably be able to get text showing up, but actually having the proper numbers in there might be something I need to do afterwards. Because right now all I do is track one score value. I don't track, the base score, the bonus score, and all these different things. But I should be able to get through these first two. So, jump right into GameMaker, show you where I'm at now. GameMaker is the program that I'm using to make this. Because I am, designing this game alone, I think Unity and Unreal, even though I know how to use them, is kind of overkill, and especially since it's 2D. GameMaker is made for 2D. It makes it real simple. A lot of great games have been made in GameMaker, like Gunpoint, which is, I think, actually on sale this week. If you haven't played Gunpoint, it's awesome. The original Spelunky was in GameMaker, things like that. There are a lot of good games in it. I think it's fine. And if you're doing it on your own, I think it's the right amount of complexity for that. So let's just show you where I'm at. Hopefully I don't have the resolution cranked up so it goes off screen. Okay, good. Keeping it small just so it stays on screen because I have an old monitor, so it's actually square even though I'm broadcasting in 16:9. So I have to kind of move everything up to the top there. Okay, so this is the basic game. I did get the mouse stuff working, so I guess I should show that. Click on the player, you can slide him around. So now he does the slide dodge. And of course, shooting's fine. Did very well there. You can also use controller, so I'll use the controller this time around. So basically, as the bullets bounce around, they get faster and faster. If they hit an enemy while they're going really fast, they're worth more points, which is going to be kind of relevant to what we're doing, like there, pausing it. You can kind of see behind the return to title there that there's a 10 times 200. The base point score for killing that enemy is 200, so if I get him with a bullet right off the bat, it's just 200 points. But because I got that bullet all the way up to red before it hit him, it was worth 10 times 200 points, which is a lot more. So that's the kind of stuff I'm going to have to keep track of. You see there, that one was worth just 1 times however many points. And there's my fade transition, so it's a little touch, so it's not just a quick screen fade. There's obviously other enemies, like ghosts, that you can shoot through until you hit the bell. They start charging you, but you can actually shoot them now. So that's the strategy involved with that. There's the desert level, which is scorpions. And you can't hit them from the front, you have to hit them from behind, so there's a little strategy to that. I'm just going to jump to the next level. Alien level. This one is also dealing with shielded enemies, so you can't shoot them just as they are. You first have to get them to shoot themselves, well, not shoot me, shoot themselves with a laser. Boom. And they're only going to fire the laser when they have a clean shot, because they're not stupid, so you do have to kind of get out there. There you go. But you can see right there, got the shield down, managed to shoot the alien. That's how you're supposed to do it for all of them. And the last level here is the Christmas level, which I made for the Christmas special. Snowmen go really slow. They have 3 heads, 3 parts. The more parts you shoot, the faster they go. If they still have their head, they follow you. Let's see if I can get an example of not shooting them in the head. There we go. If you shoot them somewhere other than, or if you shoot their head off, then they don't know where you are, but they still go faster. So there's a little strategy involved in there. And the last thing is this boss. Sorry, my Xbox controller has this, wonky left stick, which causes me to kind of float around, which is why I keep walking up once in a while. And there's a boss enemy, which is really good at dodging. And as the boss enemy gets more and more upset, he fires more and more bullets. I think I've set him up so well that I'm actually just going to kill him before he even gets a shot off. Yeah, I actually did a really good job setting him up for dying. I guess that'd be a good strategy, just firing off a bunch of bullets. But there you go. There's an example of what he does. He fires a ton of bullets at you, causing you to dodge and get around them. But that's enough of that. And I do need to stop that sound. So that's where I'm at now. That's the game. Let's catch up here. Decent Scrimp says, your new transition from stage sounds like a good idea. The wanted poster idea sounds cool, but very reminiscent of Gunsmoke, which was fine because it showed bosses, but without bosses it might seem like you said out of place. Exactly. Let's go to Gunsmoke, actually. Good old Gunsmoke. Yeah, not the television show. Capcom. There we go. Okay. Well, this is the game Decent Scrimp is talking about from Capcom, good old Gunsmoke. It's kind of like Commando, except with cowboys. And, yeah, animated GIF and everything. So that's the kind of game that was. And, yeah, there was a boss at the end of the level, so it made sense to have wanted poster. Plus, the levels were longer, and you could actually scroll through them and stuff. So, yeah, it worked for Gunsmoke, but it's not going to work for me. And Sierra 654, that's awesome. And Gunsmoke, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that's awesome. Let's see if I can make it more awesome with a transition screen. Let's see, system. System is not where I have it. It's in object group menus. Right now I do have this pause manager. This does a lot of stuff for me. When I do hit pause, it freezes the game. Let's see, what's the best place to show what it's doing? I guess in here. So set up pause and screenshot. This is a bunch of scripted stuff. What I'm kind of doing it the old school way. I did try using GameMaker surfaces to do it, but because I'm also using surfaces to handle resizing and stuff like that, it just didn't meld well together. I might try it again in the future, but I'm doing it the old-fashioned way, which is take a screenshot of the current action, make a sprite out of it, freeze the player, turn off the mouse pointer, or just activate only the mouse pointer, deactivate everything else, and then go over here into draw that background, in other words, to draw that screenshot, put over the window tint, which is just basically a, let's see, what is it? It's just basically a black-ish thing with some transparency on it, which just kind of dims out the background. And then on top of that, add this kind of black menu frame that goes on top, and then throw the menu options on top of that. So it's just these layers that I'm kind of building up to make that pause screen. And I do need to do something similar to that for the results screen. So the easiest way to go about this is probably going to be duplicate this. Not inherit, but duplicate, because I'm going to have to rewrite a whole bunch of stuff anyway. And I'll call this the results manager. Easy enough. PM active to true. Yeah, I guess, because this PM active just means that the pause screen is currently active to prevent people from pausing multiple times. I guess I do need to kind of do that. We'll see. I may not need that. Pause screen, I guess I could use the pause screen screenshot. There's no use making a whole bunch of extra files on the player's hard drive, so I guess I will use pause screen because it is technically pausing what's happening in game to put that behind the results screen. And I do need to deactivate all the same things and bring the mouse pointer back, so that's exactly the same. The only thing I change is the comment is now set up results screen in screenshot. So that's that. Hiding the cursor, that's all the same. This should all be the same. Whether or not the mouse is being delayed, this is all the same. All the input stuff is going to be the same because it's going to work the same way. If it didn't work the same way, players would probably get confused, so I don't want to change that too much. And this is probably the only thing that's going to be different in the creation part. Well, I guess I don't need all this binding stuff, so let's get rid of this, because this is for control binding. Like, let me show you what's going on with the pause screen. It might help when I'm going through this code and stuff to know what's going on. So start. So there's the pause screen. As I said, it takes a screenshot of the background, dims it out, throws this kind of blackish panel on top, and you can go in. The one thing I did do since last week is you can now bind your keys from here. Looks pretty bad. I need to fix that, but you can do it from here. That's all that binding stuff is. So I don't need any of that for a results screen. So let's get rid of all that. Don't need any of that. And let's see. Yes, if room title, room equals room title is not true. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Destroy menu mapping, this is the cleanup stuff. This will destroy all of those menu options that I've got in the list. That's fine. Yeah, this is probably all going to be the same. These are all those objects that I was talking about before. Like title is just text that you can't click on, even though it says title. The reason it's called title is because I was using it in the beginning for the stuff at the top, like options menu. So that's just text items. That's resolution items. I probably don't need that. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Because I'm not going to make players reset their resolution or anything from a result screen. Sliders, I probably don't need sliders. All I need are text and items. In fact, I may not even need clickable items. Let's comment this out for now. Because all the result screen is supposed to be doing is waiting for the user to press something to go to the next stage while it shows them their score. So that should be fine. Get rid of that. Clean up the pause screen data. This should be exactly the same. Just delete that screenshot. Get rid of all these extra sprites to make sure I'm not using up memory. And clear the input cache just to make sure that when they jump in the game they're not automatically shooting right away or something. That should be okay. And 0654 says, with Gunsmoke, haven't played that game since you were a kid. Yeah, I haven't played it in forever, too. Hey, Decent Scrimp, when's the last time you've played Gunsmoke? I'm actually kind of curious about that, because I remember I think you have a Gunsmoke t-shirt, right? Let's see, bind seek true. Let's see, I don't need that. I don't need any of these alarms, probably, because these are all for grabbing key bindings. So let's get rid of those. Let's clean this up. Obviously, the result screen is going to be a lot simpler than the pause screen because it's not asking the user to do anything. And allergy season combined with my chatting is going to make my voice disappear on me, so I need to be careful. I'm going to have to gut this, but it's still going to be the same. These are what actually grab what the user is pressing and controlling and does something with it. I would imagine, thinking about the result screen, jumping over to pause here, thinking about the result screen, say you have something like a score. Wow, that's huge text. Let's cut that down a little bit. You have something like base score, and probably what happens is over time it ticks up, like it starts at 100, goes to 200, 300, 400, kind of counting up to make it a little more interesting than just, throwing the score out there and boom, we're done. So this is probably going to count up, count up, count up until that's done. And come down here until bonus, bullet bonus. And when this is done counting up, it'll move down to here, and this will start counting up, tick up, tick up, tick up. And then when it's all said and done, there's going to be, staged difficulty. Let's just call it multiplier for now. So probably have your multiplier, and then at the end here you'll have your score, and your total score. And these things will just kind of tick up and go down. But if the user just or the player, I should say player, don't want to use the business term. I hate using user. It seems so cheap, like you're a consumer. But if the player comes here, presses any key, it should just automatically fill in all these values and then jump to the next level. So there's probably going to be 2 steps involved in that, but I'm not going to worry about it too much for now. Start off with a simple thing and then move on to something more complex. And Decent Scrimp got back to me on Gunsmoke. Probably not for a good 20 plus years. I was more of a Ghosts and Goblins guy. I can still play that one. I have a bunch of Mega Man shirts, but I don't know if I have a Gunsmoke shirt. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm the one with a Gunsmoke shirt. It could be. I think it was a small shirt. Maybe that's why I have it. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But yeah, Capcom Gunsmoke shirt. Alright, so these are those menu items. This is actually going to be a lot simpler for the results screen because the only thing I'm looking for is probably if the user presses, there I go saying user again, if the player presses any key, I want to change my thinking. I want to get out of that business thinking because I'm just trying to make something fun. If the player presses any key, then it should just fill in those values and then move to the next room after a certain timer. So I don't need to worry about what thing is selected when they press their input. I just have to check if anything's pressed on the keyboard, if anything's pressed on the controller, if anything's pressed on the mouse, move on. So that'll make this a lot simpler. And I don't even need to keep track of the controller. I don't know, maybe in the future I'll need to, so I'll leave this stuff up because one thing I'm thinking about for the future is, I had all those, score things up here, but I could also have like a scrolling ticker down here that gives you like stats, like how many times you dodged or how many bullets were fired or how many times you lost your pants. All those kind of things could just kind of scroll down here while you're watching your score just to make it a little more interesting. So if I do that, maybe I want in the future for the player to be able to, use the controller to scroll them faster or slower. So just in case I need that in the future, I'll leave it in there. But for selecting, that should just finish this off. I feel so bad deleting all of this lovely scripting in here. Feels wrong somehow, but let's just do it. And for up, down, left, right, I guess I'll leave that in there, but I don't need to select menu items, so I will gut that part of it. So I don't need any of this. I'll just leave it in there. It won't do anything. Probably don't even need the select sound. Well, I'll leave something in there just to remind me in case I do want to put a sound effect in there later. So none of this menu selection stuff. And left is probably going to be all that scrolling stuff. Same with right. So that beautiful script that was hundreds of lines long is now 59 lines long with plenty of space in between. Decent Scrimp has a wonderful suggestion for my habit of saying user because I've been in the industry a long time and that's what they use so many times in presentations and stuff like that. And even though it bugs the heck out of me, hate that term, it just kind of sank in. But Decent Scrimp has the suggestion to replace user with chomp. That'll get me over that habit real quick. Unfortunately, if I do get in the habit of saying chump, it'll make me an eviler guy. I guess that ominous music at the beginning is fitting. Okay, let's just go with if the user presses. There we go again. If the player presses, now it's on my mind, so it's going to be stuck up there. If the player presses enter, clicks the mouse, or fires basically, then we'll do the select thing. We'll worry about any input later, because at least I'm the only one playing this right now, so I can know what to hit. So this should probably say, let's see, leave menu. Let's say leave menu, leave results. Let's call it end results. It's a good name for a variable. Let's say end results is true. So player no longer wants to watch the results tick up. So that's the message I'm going to send to this results manager. And I think that's all I need to do. It's probably all I need to do. Let's see, end results. For now, that should be fine. Let's see, end results true. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. May need to do more stuff. And this binding script is all for binding keys. Like if you want to say X for shoot instead of, control or whatever. So I can just get rid of this script entirely. Boom, there we go. And draw pause screen elements. Think about the only thing I have to do here is say draw result screen elements. Everything else is the same, using the same sprites, everything else. So that's fine. Draw GUI, brightness filter. This brightness filter is when the player goes into the options menu and specifies their brightness is higher or lower. This kind of puts a tint over the game. Let me show you what that is. So you come in here to options. There's this brightness filter. If you bump it up, it kind of just brings the colors up. If you go down, it darkens things down. I guess if I was making a survival horror game, this setting right now would probably be the highest brightness setting. That's the thing about survival horror. You have to make sure that the players can't see anything in your game. And I think Decent Script knows about that, as we are both survival horror fans. Resize screen. This is the stuff that I was talking about. The surface level handles resizing the screen. Basically, how surfaces work in GameMaker is you paste everything you want to draw to a surface. In this case, the application surface, which is the default surface. And then you just kind of resize it. You can do multiple surfaces and things like that. So this is just pretty much because the action is paused, so the system can't handle this. May change that in the future, we'll see. But I don't need to touch that. So, let's see, what do I need to do now? I guess I need to start modifying this thing, this script menu pause main, because it's no longer the pause menu. And that's going to be the bulk of what's going on. So, pause main. I don't need to clean up old items because I'm not going to be switching. The reason I have this is because inside of the pause screen there's 3 menus. And you can switch back and forth. So I don't need any of that stuff. Item? Yeah, I guess I do need the item. So right now, as you can see, it's got continue options, I should say. Return to title, things like that. In fact, let me fix... Oh, whoops. Before I save anything here, let's not modify my pause screen script and make a new one. And let's fix these real quick, just so my comments actually make sense in the future. You can tell I did a little copying and pasting to get that stuff done. Okay, so this is not the pause script. This will be the new script. Okay, so let's think about what we need to have. Base score. And let's see, that should be fine in terms of where it is placed, because 2100. The current screen, despite whatever the player's resolution is, it's going to be 320 by 200 is the space I'm working in. So 2100 is going to be somewhere around here. 20 across, 100 down. I don't even need a menu ID, really, because it is just a text thing. In fact, let me look at title. Menu. Yeah, that's right. I'm doing the title screen through rooms, so let's look at how I'm doing it here. So this is exactly how I've got the options screen laid out. I basically just have these objects in here, and then when they're created, I tell them what they are. So in this case, there's very little information I need if it's just text. So item title text is equal to base score. There's no parent menu, there's no menu text, so I can get rid of that. The X needs to be in the right place. That should all be fine. So it should show base score there. And this is, let's see, base score, bullet bonus. And this needs to be not a menu item, but what is it called? Menu title. Need to make sure I change this so I don't make a menu item, because it is just text. Okay. And decent script getting back to me on the brightness setting. Where's the homecoming setting where we can't see anything? Yeah, I'll have to throw that in the game. Maybe make it a checkbox or something. Just call it the homecoming setting, so that everything's just way too dark to see. You can't even tell if your flashlight's on or off. That'd make a great cowboy shooter. So item title text, base score, bullet bonus, and that's the same. In fact, we should just copy and paste this stuff. And just change where I'm putting it. The next thing on that list was multiplier. Let's call it stage multiplier, because multiplier could be anything. What this is I do have it running in the background, but as you kind of make your way through the game, if you wrap around, it'll add the multiplier to it, so that the first time through everything's worth, 1 times whatever you get, and then later on it could be worth 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, because enemies get faster, things get harder, and that's what this is. And we need just final score. That should be 20 pixels down. Well, let's call it stage score, because final means so many things. And let's call this current score, total score, alright. And this will be like if you're in room 2 or 3 or 4, all those old rooms, their scores are kind of added into this one giant total. This is the only thing I actually keep track of at the moment, so this will be the only thing I can actually display until I start fixing things. So let's go total score. That's 180. Menu map reset. I don't even need a menu map, really, so I can get rid of that stuff, thinking about it. So let's get rid of that, actually. Where'd my thing go? System, results manager. Okay. I don't even need a menu map. So let's get rid of all that stuff here. So create menu mapping. I don't need a DS map, which is basically an array. I don't need that anymore. I do need to change the script to the thing I just made. And that's... Oh, I need to rename that. Let's jump over there and rename it. It's no longer the pause menu, it's the results menu. So SCR menu results. Let's see if I can remember that. SCR menu results, SCR menu results. Okay, there we go. So now instead of drawing like continue return to title, I'll be drawing that stuff. And there doesn't need to be a current menu item. And so I need to do that and destroy too. I don't need to destroy anything because I'm not making anything. And yeah, I don't use any menu items. Mouse delay, step, draw. Make sure I'm not doing anything in here. Yep, okay, kept it simple. So let's see. I guess one thing I'm going to need to check is if the player presses this button and gets end results. I need to check for that. So if end results is true, in other words, the player no longer wants to be on the results screen, then for now, I guess I could just destroy this object. Yeah, that might be all I need to do. Let me see what I'm doing in Pause Manager. I just want to make sure I'm doing these things the same way. So when they select Continue or Back, okay, this is all I'm doing. So I should probably play a sound effect and just destroy the instance. Okay, easy enough. So if they want out of the menu for now, before we make things more complicated, let's get it working. I want to destroy this, and I also want to play a sound effect so that they know that they're the ones that actually did this. So that should be menu. Oops, not script. Play sound effect. And let me jump back and see what I should be passing into that. Okay, so global SFX pick, which is the little bloop that happens when you select a menu item, and 0 are the things I need to pass into this. So boom, 0. Okay, so now it'll give me a little sound, and it'll destroy this menu. So what else do I need to do? I guess I do need to actually have this thing pop up when the player beats the level. So let's do that. And let's see, Decent Script says stage multiplier, Alexander multiplier. Yes. Okay, we'll call it the Alexander multiplier. That'll make sense to everyone, so. Okay, I think, am I doing this in System? Oh, I'm doing it in the Room Manager. I have something called a Room Manager, which keeps track of each level. And if all the enemies are dead, then of course, move on to the next level. That's all done in here. Alarm 2. So the player's beaten the room, that's all happening in here. Right now, it's just instant. It just fades the screen, jumps to the next level. So I probably want to do it before this. So let's see. I want to create that manager, that results manager in here. Boom. And there it is. And I don't need to worry about where it is. In fact, it should be at 0, 0, right? Let me just check. When the player presses any key, that's level jump. Okay, well, it should be fine. Let's see what happens. Let's see where we are. It'll probably give me some errors, but that's part of the fun of this, is debugging. And PandaBits drops by. Hey, buddy, missed you last week. Hope you're, well, feeling better. It was like a month ago when you had your cold, but I hope you are feeling better now. It is still cold and flu season, so I hope you didn't catch another one in the meantime, but it's good to see you. Working on just kind of a results screen after each level before moving on to the next one. That's all we're doing this episode. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I guess I need to beat the level. Wow, this is crazy. One of these enemies that better die soon, or I'm just gonna get smoked. Okay, well, there we go. Let's just find the debug switch that kills all the enemies for me, so I don't have to do that every time. Let's see, settings, globals, I think it's in here. I think I have my comments in here to myself. Debug switches, there we go. Win level. The magic win level button is F4, so let's use that instead of fighting everything. Okay, there we go. Item X. Okay, well, there's my first problem. Index 10638. Why is that popping up? That's line 11 in here. Ah, okay, I think I see what's going on. There's stuff off the screen. This is why. Because there's no item menu text. Okay, that's all that's going on. Because this isn't a menu item, it's a title. So all I need to do is change that to that. Alright, let's just change these out. At least that debugging moment wasn't too awkward because it went quick. And Pandabits does say got better. Wasn't around last week thanks to going on a trip. That's a nifty looking ammo counter. Oh yeah, I guess that has changed. Up here's the ammo counter. It used to just be like, you know, a number of bullets. Like if you had 6 bullets, it would just be 6 bullets lying right next to each other. Now instead of that, it's actually a whirling cylinder, which is more compact and it actually looks cooler. It also gives me the chance to, it flashes red when you can do your super shot, so there's a lot of information that can be packed into a smaller space, so I switched it to that. And I hope you had fun on your trip. Yeah, no worries at all about not dropping by, obviously, if you have a trip and stuff. I do appreciate you dropping by this week. It's good to see you. Alright, so let's do F4, win the level, see what happens. Okay. Line 12. I guess I'm doing that in 2 places. Oh, yeah, I'm doing it all over the place. I guess I should fix these too. That's what happens when you miss the forest for the trees. You see one line that needs to be fixed and you forget about all the other ones that need to be fixed. It happens a lot. Get so excited to fix a problem that I don't see the other problems that are kind of hiding around the corner. Alright. Should work this time. At least I'd only have to hit the F4 key to bring this up, so. But this wouldn't be the Blue Tengu's live game development show without some awkward debugging moments. End results. Variable get end. Oh, there we go. There's another awkward moment. Because, let me show where that is. Results manager. It was great that I put this end results in here. End results equals true. That was great, but I never actually declared this variable, so need to do that. That's something I forget to do every time in GameMaker because things are spread out between the create and steps and stuff like that. So that's a bad habit I have. In addition to the bad parentheses habit that I always have, that is one. So let's make it false by default. And now it should see that variable. And hopefully I'll get some satisfaction on this one. There we go. Okay. Let's see, dsmap, cleaner here in the room event. Room end for menu manager. Object menu manager. That's odd. Object menu manager. Is it because... I'm parenting it. I don't want to do that. I don't need to parent it anymore, I don't think. Because I've got this menu manager as kind of a base class. But I'm overriding everything anyway. The only things I'm not overriding are room start and room end. So yeah, I don't need to inherit anything because there's nothing useful coming out of this menu manager that results manager can use, so I can get rid of that. Let's see, what else was going wrong? It did seem like it wasn't actually pausing things. That's not good. So room manager. So that's a problem with room manager actually. Because it's coming in here. It's going to alarm number 3 or 2. And okay. I may have to do this within the results screen. Yeah, I may just have to do this within the results screen. Because I think what's going on with GameMaker is that when it gets to this alarm, it wants to do all of these steps. So even though I'm creating this results manager, which deactivates all of the instances, it's still moving on and doing this room jump, which is why it started fading even though that menu popped up for just a half a second. So I can't do this in here. I could do it in end step. So right now I'm doing it on an alarm. Just wondering, because it feels kind of wrong to make the thing that moves to the next room go into Results Manager, which is why I'm trying to think of a way around it. That'd be the easy solution, because all it would entail is just moving this into Results Manager when it gets destroyed. That would work. It just wouldn't be very logical to have this stuff outside of Room Manager. So if I did that, I would have to have a step in another variable. Yeah, I guess, yeah, to keep it in Room Manager, I'm going to need another variable, so I'll just do it that way. So a variable that says it's okay to jump to the next room. Okay to jump to the next room. But I learned something new about GameMaker, which is cool. So room, jump, true. Probably renamed that in my head, didn't I? Room jump. So RM jump. So at the very end here, if it's okay to jump to the next room, let's see, if it's okay to jump to the next room, then move this stuff out and put it in there. So until this RM jump, whoop, that was supposed to be my comment, RM jump is equal to true. There we go. So if RM jump is equal to true, until it's true, it's not going to jump to the next room, which means I need to set this somewhere. And I can set that inside of the results manager. So going back to here, set that variable right around here. So the room manager, boom, RM jump gets set to true in here. Let's see, what else do I need to do? Is that all I need to do? Destroy menu objects. Yeah, it should be okay. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Wow, now it's just jumping all over the place. At least I could pause it. Room manager, wow. That was odd. That was very odd. So what is this? If RM jump is equal to true, but RM, oh, false. My bad. I'm basically always saying it's okay to jump to the next room, so looped right through that. At least it's kind of working. I guess that's a good sign. Alright, now we're not going crazy. So F4 to kill all the enemies. And I get this. So theoretically in the future it'll be boom, 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 the scores are coming up. The text is way too big, so I'll have to use a smaller text font for that. But if I hit shoot, it should move to the next room. Nope. Is that because Room Manager is gone? Step? As it should be going through the step in here. Maybe I need to unfreeze Room Manager. That might be the problem. But I thought I was doing that in there. Let me check Pause Manager real quick. Because there's got to be a place where I'm reactivating all of these instances. Is it in here? You would think, because everything's still frozen is the problem. Coming out of the room, the player's unfrozen, which is fine, but I think Room Manager's disappeared on me. Maybe something I have to debug, but let me catch up to the chat here, since you guys are having some fun. And with PandaBits said, too bad there's no replace all function that could probably supremely mess something up if used incorrectly. Yeah, even if there was a replace all, I probably would not use that, because it'd be like, you know, when you're renaming something in like a Word document or something and you replace all and you end up replacing the wrong things, or you forget that this word is part of a bigger word, and so you end up with, like, I don't know, some strange new Latin conjugation of something. Yeah, so I probably wouldn't want to replace all. And Decent Scrimp says you could always leave the air screen and just say this is a sequel to Eternal Darkness. Another great game reference. Yeah, screwing with the player by just throwing bugs in their face. That'd be awesome. And Panovit said at least the air wasn't something completely incomprehensible. It did make sense. And Panovit says, like Call of Duty 4 PC having to have a mic plugged into the PC with some sound cards to prevent it from crashing. Oh, I didn't even know that. Yeah, because I played Call of Duty 4 on the Xbox, so I never had that issue. But wow, having to have the mic plugged in, I guess, makes sense if they had something that was pulling the mic for data, and if you didn't have the mic plugged in and it tried to do something like send something over the mic or detect something from the mic even though it's not plugged in, and so that object never existed or something. Maybe that's what happened. And Panovitz did say, I think it's trying to skip while it's drawing, maybe. Yeah, that's exactly what was happening. Basically, the problem was I just set that variable to true instead of false, so Room Manager was always hearing it's okay to jump to the next level, so jump to the next level, destroy itself, create itself for the new level, and then say, yeah, it's okay to jump to the next level, boom. So I just got into that infinite loop. Let's see what's going wrong here. The question is whether Room Manager exists or not. So let's actually, I don't use this very often, but GameMaker does come with a debug version of the play command. So let's pop that up and, be a good chance for you guys to see it too. So you get all this extra stuff out here. It's not super useful compared to some other debuggers, but it's better than nothing. So what I'm going to need to do is pause this game when I get into that weird state. So yeah, I got that. Moving on to the next level. Okay, so now I'm in this strange limbo state. Let's see what I've got running. So you have to pause it to see all these global variables, which is one of the disadvantages to this debugger. It doesn't debug while you're doing it. There is a Room Manager. I think I know what it is. Yes, room jump is still false. Makes sense. Let's explain this with the power of paintbrush. Get rid of all that. Yes, okay. Well, that's something you kind of have to experience to figure out. But so what's going on is I've got this Room Manager object, which controls like whether the player's beaten the room and when to pull enemies out and stuff like that. And inside of that, I've got that room jump variable, which is set to false by default. When the player beats the room, that's when I get this thing, which is the result manager. And that's fine. When it gets to the end, it tries to set this to true. The problem is up here, what it does is, like the pause screen, it deactivates everything. The way deactivate works in GameMaker is basically these things just become invisible. Nothing inside of is called, so there's no draws, there's no steps, there's no nothing. They just kind of they're kind of tucked under the mattress until you decide to activate them again. What I didn't know was that you couldn't set variables in these things while they're deactivated. So what this is probably doing is, even though it's not giving me an error, it's not saying I don't know what room jump is, it's just not able to change this because room manager is not running. It's tucked under the mattress. So what I probably need to do is activate room manager and then set this. Thankfully, there is something to do that. In fact, by doing it that way, I may not even need to do this extra variable stuff, but we'll see. So I'm setting room jump to true inside of room manager, but before I do that, I need to activate that. So what's it called? Instance activate? Activate? Instance activate? Object? Object, there we go. So this will turn room manager back on. And then set the variable to jump. We'll see. We'll see if it makes it in time. It may need a little bit of activation time. Hopefully this works. F4. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Well, that kind of worked. It got me up to stage 8. So I guess it's kind of like finding a hidden pipe inside of Super Mario Brothers, but that kind of worked out. Let's see. Room end. I guess when I do room end, I guess I should set that variable back. Maybe this is all I need to do. Let's find out. Because even though this room manager gets destroyed, I believe, yeah, because it's not persistent. So when the room's done, it's destroyed automatically. But what happens is, because this room jump is still true, it keeps coming through this step and saying, okay, jump to the next room, jump to the next room, even though this room manager is about to die. I think that's what was going on. We'll see if that helps. So when the room ends, it should no longer say jump to the next room. We'll see. Okay, got that. Nah, it's still flying all over the place. That's not what I need. In fact, I'm being stupid about this. I should probably just set it to false in here. Then I don't need to worry about it out here. So it only goes into that increment and jump thing once. That'll guarantee it only goes in there once. Now if something's weird, I guess it's something with the results screen. Got it! Alright. Now it's not jumping up to stage 8. I get my results screen when I kill all the enemies. It shows the background frozen. Press the button to move on. Moves to the next stage after a little fade. Got it. Nice. Still working? Let me just check. Yep, it's incrementing the stages, going through all the stages. Got to the boss. If I can get all the way up to 8, I'm good to go. These are just extra levels at the end. Probably move them somewhere else later. Okay. Good. Awesome. So let's catch up to my chat here. And Pandabits explained the Call of Duty 4 mic issue. Every once in a while, Call of Duty 4 tried to check your mic, and depending on what it was checking, a value came back 0. Yeah. I guess maybe they were pulling the mic to make sure that they didn't broadcast anything while the player wasn't speaking. Kind of makes sense. And then for whatever reason, that was used as an element of a string, and when the 0 was read, it wrecked the state, causing it to loop on itself. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of surprising that they wouldn't catch that, because not having a mic plugged in causing something to crash makes sense, because maybe someone in QA, they were never testing with mics or something, but not having the mic plugged in seems like something you would just run across by default. Yeah, maybe it's a combination of things though. I'm sure they know what they're doing. They made an awesome game, so pull mic if values 1, execute VoIP code if the value is 0, do not use VoIP, end voice IP. Okay, and then it says now what? It's a tricky issue, I guess. Maybe it was just one of those timing things. And Decent Scrimp follows up with Pandavit's information on Call of Duty 4's microphone issue and says, goes to show that even with millions of dollars and scores of QA testers, even silly things can be missed. Yeah, QA testers are definitely the unappreciated people in the game industry, but they make or break games. And QA testers are great. They always find things. They're persistent, and unlike game designers like me, they're actually hardworking. So they do go through a lot of trouble to make sure that the game is working properly, rather than just flying by the seat of their pants. But it's all about time and money, and you can't find everything because games are very complicated things. Even this, there are things that pop up weeks and weeks later, and it's like, oh wow, I didn't know that was a problem. But you can imagine with Call of Duty 4 it being like millions of lines of code. There's all these little combinations of things that can go wrong, especially on a PC version. Because who knows, everyone's PC runs at different speeds, different hardware. It's crazy. And Decent Scrimp says, Disco, love it when a plan comes together. Yep. This one came together. And actually it's right at the hour mark, so what I'm going to do is, let's see, jump over here. I do have a result screen appearing at the end of the level using the pause system, so that's done. Awesome. The player input does cause it to jump to the next level, so that's done. So the next thing is going to be, well, I do have text displaying technically base score, bonus score, difficulty multiplier, but that's all it's doing. So I need to kind of work on this. I need to get that text scrunched up so that it fits in that menu, and I also need to actually show the points and stuff like that as they come up. I should probably also add a task in here. I'm not sure how long that's going to take, but result screen, point values, count up faster and faster. This is something, I'm sure if you've played a lot of arcade games, you know exactly what this is, but I don't want to comment. This just means that, it starts off at 100, moves to 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and then it just kind of keeps counting up faster and faster until you reach the total, and then it stops there and moves to the next line. That's what this is. I probably won't get to that this episode, but I certainly should be able to get to this stuff once I get back from my break. So I'm going to take a break, and for those of you who follow the show, you know exactly what that means. If you're on YouTube, it's just going to be a quick transition. I always show that thing at the beginning of the YouTube video as my break, so that people have something to see while I'm just kind of off doing stuff and recovering my voice. So let's jump that off. And it's just a short animated clip. It should be about 6 minutes before I'm back. Hope you enjoy it. I will be right back. Thank you for waiting while I took that quick break. Happy Valentine's Day if you're near my time zone, or happy Friday the 13th if you're over in the States, or I think if you're in the UK now, it's just turning to Valentine's Day. So your luck is about to change. For those of you who didn't catch the intro, this is Blue Tengu's live game development show, where we show everything that goes into making a game from concept to completion. If you've ever wanted to make a game, we hope this will help lower the barrier to entry. Even if you don't want to make a game, we hope you'll find some entertainment value in what we're doing here. All of the information about where you can find us is in the Twitch info down below, or in our YouTube profile for those of you catching us later. But just in case, we're at www.bluetengu.com, btengu on Twitter, facebook.com Blue Tengu Studio, youtube.com Blue Tengu Studio for those of you watching the live stream with me now, and Twitch TV Blue Tengu for those of you watching us on YouTube. The game we're making is Project Spaghetti, a top-down 2D cowboy shooter where the bullets fired bounce around the screen with a pinball mechanic, and right now I'm working on the result screen that happens in between the room transitions. Got it working now, I just need to actually make it look like a proper result screen. So let's jump right over to that, get back to the desktop, jump in, and where I'm at right now, just to show you, in case that weirdness blanked it out of your mind. is, I'll hit F4 to kill all the enemies in the room and move on. Now we get this little kind of pause screen that pops up, and whenever I press something to move on, moves to the next level. So good with that. But as you can see, the text is all off to the left. There's no actual information being shown, so that all needs to change. First thing is probably going to be to fix that font. So let's do that first. So let's see. That's not going to be in Results Manager. That's going to be all up in here. So right now I'm using the menu font, which is, when you first start the game, it says Start Game and in those giant letters. So actually, I should probably try to use the binding font. It's a smaller version of the Commodore font that I'm using. Should be okay. I imagine it'll fit. We'll find out. But I may need to make a different font for this because the binding font's going to be too small, and it should be a good thing that you're getting all your points and stuff. It shouldn't be this small thing that's going on. That didn't seem to change the font very much. Binding. Wow. It seemed to be stretching it out. Let's see, where is that font? Font binding. Size 8. Yeah, it should be smaller. Did I just not save it? Font binding. Yeah, that's the proper size. String width divided by the sprite height. Draw set font. You know what? I wonder if inside of my little title object here, if I'm setting the font here. That's what it's doing. Okay, menu font menu. Draw set menu font. So I do need to set that, because otherwise it's going to override it with something. So I don't want to do that. Okay. Because I've been using the default, so I need to change that. Binding. In fact, this doesn't really do anything, so probably get rid of that. No, let's keep it, because I think it is doing something. But let's just add this. I could probably fix that a little bit later, because I'm kind of doing the same thing twice, so I don't want to be doing that twice if I don't have to. But for now, let's get it working. That should shrink it down a little bit. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, it fits. It just doesn't look very cool. I could probably worry about the design later, but let's see. I could probably shift it more to the right to make sure that stage multiplier fits. And move it up, obviously, because there's plenty of space up here. Because the points aren't, unless you did really, really well, the score shouldn't fill up all of this space. I guess it's possible. If you have a really tough stage, maybe. But don't imagine players are going to be able to get more than, at worst, 300,000 or so points per level. That's possible, I suppose, if you had your exploding bullets hitting everything. And I added more enemies. But in any case, it shouldn't take up this much space. So let's shift it all to the right a little bit and move it up. So I could probably get 1, 2 more out of it. And that's all controlled by this stuff. 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. And let's move it more to the right. 50, 50, 50. If I could get away with using the menu font, That would probably be the best thing. Font menu. Well, that's just the default, so let's just see how it looks. It might be too big. May need to find some middle ground in there. That binding font is way too small. I mean, you know, the player is getting points. That should be an exciting thing. It shouldn't be this tiny little systematic thing. It should fill as much of the screen as possible. Let's see how much smaller we have to make it. Okay. I could move it even further to the right. Multiplier is going to be the thing that just kind of goes off no matter what. The other ones look like they'd fit. Obviously, if I do move this into other languages, might be cutting it close on some of this stuff. But in terms of atmosphere, I think it's better to go with big for now. So let's try 100. Move it all right. And I could probably space it out a little bit more, but I'll leave some room at the bottom for that scrolling thing in the future. That didn't seem to do very much. Why is it doing that? 100. Let's move it even further to the right. 150. Make sure that all fits on there before I start putting the points in there. And Decent Scrimp responded to my comment on the score not fitting into the space and not having to worry about it unless I'm madly like Decent Scrimp. So I suppose I should be careful in case there are players like Decent Scrimp who can beat Ghosts and Goblins on one playthrough. Okay, these aren't moving, so that 100 stuff is not working. Instance create. Menu title. Why is it doing that? X6 plus minus string width. Okay, it's because I'm overwriting the X with this anyway. So let's see. What should I do with this? Because I'm trying to readjust the where the strings show up based on how wide they are. Yeah, if I got rid of this, that'd probably be too much. Let's try a few different values in here and see which ones line up properly. 5, 6. Let's even go with 8 down here. So now they'll be all over the place, but we'll see which one kind of lines up to where I want it to be. Those are all pretty bad. I just made it worse. Okay. So what I should be doing is, yeah, adding even more actually. I don't want to go that far. Alright, so XView. XView is what gives me the left side of the screen. Then I need something to get it to the middle. Divided by 2 was getting me out here, and then it bumped the string back that way. So actually, let's try it without a multiplier and see what it looks like. It might be all the way to the right side of the screen. We'll see. Just to see if I'm on the right track. Yeah, okay. So this is without the multiplier. It's taking the width of the screen and saying, you know, start here, go over to here, and then fill out this space with the size of the text. So, you know what, I don't want to center it. So I probably want somewhere around here. So that would be 2/3 of the width, maybe? Because the width multiplier is determining this right side. So let's try that. So 2 times divided by 3. We'll see. We'll see how base score lines up before I start changing other things. And Decent Script mentions even if I am not that good to beat Ghosts and Goblins on a single playthrough or even a even I'm not that good to beat Ghosts and Goblins on a single playthrough or even a dozen playthroughs. Okay, well, I think you're going to be fine with the amount of space I give you for your points in this game then. If you could beat Ghosts and Goblins on one playthrough, then I'd be a little worried. And Sierra654 says, can you change the font color and make it blink? I can definitely change the font color. Making it blink? Yeah, with the draw font. I'm not sure if there's something in the font itself that allows you to do that. So you might have to, what you'd have to do probably is kind of keep looping through the font. You know, every frame of the game you're drawing the font, so even though it looks like nothing's actually happening here, what's happening is, I think GameMaker, I've got it set to 60 frames per second, but 60 times a second it's drawing this to the screen, which is why things can change. So even though it looks static, it's drawing it 60 times a second. So what you could do is use a function in GameMaker called draw text, probably ext, which is extended, and it should allow you to change the alpha, which is the transparency. So you start off with 1, which means it's completely solid like it is here, and then just as time goes on, it just gets more and more transparent, and then it goes back the other way. So you could probably just keep looping it like that if you wanted to blink the text. In terms of changing color, that's really easy. You could just do that. Well, you could also do that with the ext, I think. Well, you could set the font to a different color. Because I am doing that for the menus, obviously. Well, like here, changing the font color to the Commodore 64 red when I'm passing over it. So both of those things are definitely possible. Oops, let's get started. Let's see where it is. Okay, base score is in a pretty good place. That means it's lined up right below Kappa Spaghetti, basically, so it gives me this much room to kind of put point values in there. We'll start with that. I may need to shrink the font a little bit, but that's a good starting point. So let's go 2 times divided by 3. Let's line everything up. So 2/3 of the width of the screen. And let's just double check to make sure it's doing what I expect it to do. Because if it's not, then I'm going to need to think of another way to do this. There we go. Okay, so as expected, stage multiplier is just too long, so it goes off to the side. I guess I could just call it multiplier. Yeah, we'll see. For all the menus, I should probably put this in the task list too, but because the tint is kind of, you know, that background, that black background is making it look a little weird. That's something I need to fix in the future, because right now it's kind of hard to see. You know, it's so dark because the screen is tinted. The font is the right color, it's just the screen is tinted and it's on a black background, so it just looks darker. So I probably need to change that, maybe make this a white box instead of a black box. We'll see. That might help the visibility, because I don't think changing the font color is going to help here. But we've got everything kind of lined up. I'll get rid of stage just so it fits, and for now just try to put values in here. So let's get started on that. Boom. So no more stage multiplier. Let's just call it multiplier for now until I get things kind of lined up. And what I'm going to need to do next is probably show values off to the right. So let's get one of them lined up. The one thing I do have already is something that stores total score. So I can create that. So that's the value. This thing doesn't really mean anything. And what this should be is string. I think I'm storing it just in score. GameMaker's internal score variable. We'll see. I don't think I'm using a special name for it at the moment. And 2 divided by 3. What's a good number to get it in the right spot? Let's try 3 divided by 4. So now it should put the number of points that I have there, which will be 0 if I just jump straight ahead. Let's find out. There we go. Yeah, it shows up at 0. Need to move it further to the right. In fact, almost to the edge of the screen, so, you know, like 7/8 or something like that. Because this number, when it fills out, I'm sure, let's actually get a few points. I'll show you what's going to happen here. Let's not use mouse controls so I can get my angles. I'm better at the keyboard. Oops. Got my health back. Now I'm out of bullets. Okay, well, let's hope some of them come up here. If I can load one of them up. Okay. So as you can see, I got 2,100 points in there, but the score is now coming over the text, so I need to flush all of that to the right. So, let's see, bullet bonus, space score. I could even make the stuff on the left smaller and make the numbers big. That's one possibility. Let's just make sure this gets lined up. And that's total score. Oh, so I needed stage score, my bad. No. Total score is the right place, because that is your current score. Alright, so that should be lined up fine. Now I need to start actually keeping track of these other values. As long as I add some variables, some global variables, or at least room manager variables, it should be okay. I guess I should do global variables, because I'm deactivating all these instances. So again, throwing everything into the mattress, I probably wouldn't even be able to get those variables if I don't use globals. Let's just make sure it lines up. Yeah, it's not a bad place. It could be even further to the right. 9/10. 9/10. Alright, let's go with 9/10. Yeah, that should be fine. So let's add the variables to get what we need. Let's see, right now where am I incrementing everything? Might even be just adding to the score in here. Maybe. So when a ghost gets hit by the bullet, yeah, see, it's adding. The ghost object is directly when it gets hit by a bullet and dies, you know, if it's angry, if it's in that red state and it dies, it's directly incrementing the score. So what I need to do is probably, since I'm always spawning this score holder object, I could probably handle all of that stuff in here, because I'm passing everything I need. What this score holder is, because it's been a while since I've gone over this, I should probably show it so you know what I'm talking about here. What this score holder object does right now is, if I can kill a cowboy. Almost got him. His luck's about to run out, I hope, before mine does. There we go. Well, it's kind of hidden behind return to title, but all this score holder does right now is it's the thing that, well, exactly, like Cirrus mentioned, making text blink and stuff. Speaking of that, this text is blinking. I have something to make it blink, but there we go. That's actually more visible. So you can make text blink, but this score holder, all it does is it draws this thing to the screen that shows how many points you got for killing an enemy. So Right now it's 1 times, which is the multiplier. So the bullet was going the slowest possible speed it could, which means it just got fired. 1 times the base enemy score, which is 100. So total 100. So I have my multiplier, I have my base score, I have all the information I need to increment those global variables inside of the score holder. So what I should do is, instead of changing the score out here, I should do it in here, because I do spawn this thing every time. I guess I could just leave this here. I don't know, we'll see. Let's bring it into score holder. Where am I? Score holder would be in system, UI, enemy score. Okay. So that object's this. So I guess this is where I could modify all those global variables. So let's set those up. Where do I have score? Score might be under player. That's high score. Don't need to worry about that. Set the score to 0. Okay, so I'm doing that inside of player. It is a global variable. It's just one that GameMaker gives to you. So I just need to make, let's put them around high score, just to keep them logically grouped together. If I can find it again, let's just do search. So technically there is a global variable called score that GameMaker does for me, so I'm not declaring it anywhere. The only score I want to save from game to game is high score. The rest are all just going to be kind of erased when your game is over, so these are just going to be base score, started at 0, multiplier, score. So these are those extra points. So if you get 3 times 100, base score will store 100, multiplier will store 300 minus 100, which is 200. Do I need anything else? Multiplier. And then the stage multiplier I have out here too. That's in here. In fact, these don't need to be persistent, so let's bring those out of global persistent and put them in here. Okay, so base score, the total score for killing enemies each stage, the total bonus score for killing enemies each stage, and do I need anything else? Total score, stage score. Yeah, stage score is easy because it's just adding these two up and applying a multiplier to it, this point multiplier thing to it. So these are the three things I need to worry about in here. So let's at least get the text displaying properly. And Decent Scrim says, when do you put in the 1 extra line of code that turns this into Halo? Well, once I get my cowboy dual wielding, it should be fine. And I'm going to add some sound effects so he goes, ooh, when he lands on stuff. Then it'll be to Halo. So base score, let's grab this, pop that down there, call this the value. So base score value. The title text is going to be the string of that global base score. Easy enough. And that is what I'm calling it, yes. So that's that. And I need to make this 9/10 so it displays on the right side of the screen. There we go. Bullet bonus value. And that's going to be the string of global, what am I calling it? multiplier score. It's fine. Move this out to 9/10 of the screen. So that's that. Last thing is the multiplier here. Stage multiplier. And stage multiplier value. And that's going to be the string of that global, which is point multiplier. Okay, and move this out to the right of the screen as well. And stage score, easy enough to calculate. It's going to be the string of this stuff. In fact, I'll probably be using this multiple times. So what I should do, actually, is inside of this results object, I should calculate it in advance, because that'll be the best way to do this. So we've got global base score plus global multiplier score, and then that's my stage score times the multiplier, and that'll give me my stage score. And hopefully I did pick the right thing. I think it is global multiplier score, but let me check. Yes, okay, good. So the last thing is to show the string of that, because in the future, like I said, I'll have it counting up or whatever, so I don't want to just calculate it when I'm displaying the string. And this is just the final score. So that should give me everything I need. Now I just need to set those values. Multiplier score, multiplier. So I do need to set those from the score item, enemy score, and I could do that here. Well, that's unfortunate. Global base score is equal to ES score. Global base score plus this, actually. So I don't want it resetting every time it comes in here. So that's the enemy score. And something similar for the multiplier. Multiplier score. Hit enter. There we go. It's one of the problems with the Japanese keyboard. Everything's kind of scrunched in to make room for extra stuff. So space bars, enter keys are all just kind of scrunched together. And that's multiplier. So ES score times multiplier. ES multiplier. But I can't just do that because, say I shoot an enemy, they're worth 100 points normally, but I get a multiplier of 3, so I get 300 points. I can't just add that. I have to subtract what they're originally worth from all of this. So ES score, so minus ES score. So this should give me the 200 instead of the 300, and add that to global multiplier score. Let's see if this works. And Decent Scrim says, okay, I'll settle for you making too humanly humanized. Say that 3 times fast. Yeah, we need some more too human. And Decent Scrim does say, I know this is not what you're going for, but how difficult would it be to add voice? Even simple voice work like Sinistar, a lot of extra work. Actually, adding voice in GameMaker is very, very easy. Because, let me go through that. You have all these sound objects, like, for example, when I'm going through there, I'm getting these sound effects. All that is I'm playing one of these things, which is, let's see, pick up, not pick up, select, there we go. All I'm doing is playing this. So all I need to do is, if I did record myself going, you know, run, coward, run, then I could just pop that in here and have that play when, I don't know, when a good point for run, coward, run would be in a game, but it would just play. So adding voices is actually really, really easy in GameMaker. And it's kind of down here in the task list, but there's this ready draw sequence at level start task that I've got in my list, and I even have in here. As a comment, digitized voice, text, ready draw with the cowboy when he first appears in a room. And I was kind of thinking of having a digitized, ready draw, kind of a retro thing, because the Commodore 64. Let's see. There we go. Let's get the classic one. The classic digitized voice.
Another visitor. Stay a while. Stay forever.
Exactly. That kind of retro thing, because that Impossible Mission is probably one of my favorite games on the Commodore 64. So, digitized voice is actually something I would like to do. And, oh, Torpid Sloth dropped by. Hey, guy. Thank you again, by the way, for telling me about all the Trello stuff in here. Not sure why I didn't notice it this whole time, but Torpid Sloth is the one that helped me not have to create a new menu and bring it all the way over to the left every time. I do appreciate that. And thank you for dropping by. And Sierra654 says, oh man, Sinistar, that game scared me as a kid. Run, run. Oh, it scared me because when that guy's coming after you, he's coming after your quarter, and you don't want to lose that quarter. Sinistar was a great game. So hard, though. But exactly. Digitized voice, would love to try that. May have to get around to that sooner than later. It is in that task list, though. So, let's just make sure my score thing is working fine. I go off on tangents, I hope you don't mind. Stage score. It doesn't know what that is. It's because it's not a global. Okay. No, that's not the problem. The problem is I'm not defining it up here. Is that it? No? I've got stage score, base score, blah, 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 blah. Oh, it's because I'm defining it too late. Let me bring that up. Let's make that one of the first things here. Oh, they're not the mouse. Because it needs to be before this script. That was the only problem. Let me comment this as well. Got someone ringing on the doorbell. Let's see. This is the script. Creates. Going back into here. The only problem was that I was creating that variable too late. So I got that fixed. Should be okay. Alright, let's see what this looks like. There we go. Everything's all over the place, which is interesting. But, let's see, base score 0, bullet bonus 0, 1. I think I must have accidentally overwritten something. I think I did. Let's see, base score value, bullet bonus, stage multiplier value, stage score, total score. Okay, I did something wrong in here with my coordinates, because things are all over the place and I'm missing some text. Bullet bonus, multiplier score, multiplier score. Oh, well, yeah, I did delete that, so that's one problem. So I need to bring that back. Not sure what I did there. And then stage score, that's fine. Stage multiplier value, stage score, total score, string score, string stage score. Okay, I'm all over the place with what's going on here. I just copied and pasted the wrong stuff. So let's get these things back to where they're supposed to be. This is total score. That's total score. That's 2/3 of the way past the screen. It should be matching up to this, which is fine. That's 9/10. That's good. This needs to be 9/10. And this needs to show the stage score. So stage score value. And then we've got stage score text. And this needs to be lined up with that. Okay, I think that fixed it. Obviously, until I actually kill an enemy, none of these things are going to make sense, but let's see what happens. Okay, now I've got points. Let's see what happens. My base score is 0, which is wrong. Bullet bonus is 0, which is wrong. Multiplier is 1. Stage score 0, which is wrong. Total score is fine. So I've got my multiplier and my total score right. It's just these other global variables which are not being updated properly. Let's see, why would that be? They are global, so I don't think it matters that system's frozen. So these three values are just not showing up properly, and I do need to catch up here. Torpid Sloth, glad he could help with the Trello thing. Yeah, thank you for your help. I do appreciate it. And Decent Scrim says, very cool. Thanks for the explanation on the voice and how easy it would be. So now it's time to put in the Gunther Gallipot scream when you die. Yeah, the roar. That'd be awesome. For those of you who didn't catch that reference, it's Mega64's Cold Fear video. It's definitely worth watching, even though it's for a game that's really, really old. PlayStation 2 level. So we've got base score multiplier. All right, let's see where I'm going wrong here. Could be because it's in here. Maybe I should keep these things in persistent. That could be the problem. It could be resetting this thing. So let's bring them out to globals persistent. And I'm just going to need to remember to reset these to 0 when I start a new game, because otherwise they'll, or actually a new room, because otherwise they'll just keep adding up. Alright, let's see where I can go. Not sure why I fired that bullet off. Okay, well, before I die, let's get to the end. Still everything's 0. Total score still fine, but these things are still 0. Why would that be happening? Global multiplier score. Is something going wrong in here? Global base score. I wonder what's going on here. Room end, destroy, yeah, that's fine. These numbers should be changing. Yes. Oh. Okay, well there's the problem. I need to do this somewhere else. Alright, where do I need to do this? Let's do it inside of the alarm. No, that's no good. Yeah, here's the problem. What's going on is, when I do this enemy score, as defaults, I use score 0, multiplier 1. So it's giving me, obviously, if I just go through here, it's saying add 0 to the base score, and add 0 times 1 minus 0 to the base score, which is just adding 0 every time. So this is kind of working, but the problem is I'm setting this ES score and this ES multiplier outside of this create event. So those changes aren't in time to do this stuff. So let's see, I could do another alarm that just kind of does this a frame later. That might be the best way to do this, because there's no wait command inside of GameMaker anymore. There used to be a sleep inside of the old GameMakers, but there isn't anymore. So let's do a new alarm. Move this stuff in there, just so that I have that frame to catch up. And as counterintuitive as it is, I'll do alarm 1 first, and just 1 frame later. That should be enough. And 1 frame should be enough. I don't want to delay it too much, because then the player could theoretically, kill an enemy, and while that score is flashing, or a few seconds pass, they finish the stage and they never get those points counted to them, which would not be fun. So, okay, now it's in the stage. There we go. That was part of the problem. And I think it's working now. The only reason bullet bonus is 0 is because I didn't actually kill the enemy with a fast bullet, so let's try that. Should be pretty easy to do on the ghost stage. Alright. If I can do this without dying. Okay, I did get a multiplier there, so I should be good to go. Let's not die. There we go. So each of the ghosts is worth, let's see, how much are the ghosts worth? Jump over there. Base score times 30, so each ghost is worth 300 points? That wouldn't make sense. Base score times 30. Alright, well, let me take a screenshot of this really quick. I want to make sure my math is adding up here. Something seems a little off. We'll see. We'll see. So let's jump to the next stage, and I'll jump back to the ghost stage and just kill a ghost to see how many points it's worth, to make sure these things are kind of working. I'll kill myself. Yeah, they are worth 300 points. Okay, so my base score is 2200. Yeah, something's odd. Base score is 2200, bullet bonus is 2400, which could be true. I don't know. I'd have to look back through the video, actually. Those do add up to stage score 4600, which is way too high, because my total score is 2400. And what that could be is that thing I was talking about before, where the old points, that's what it is. Okay. Remember how I said I would have to reset those values to 0 every time I entered a new room? What was happening was, well, what's happening now is it's keeping track of those old scores. Like level 1, I killed 1 cowboy and then moved into this one, so it still had that 100 points hiding in there. And then it jumped into here, and so I killed 3 ghosts, which is worth 900 points, but it added that 100 points to that, which got me that 1000. So that's something I need to do. Otherwise, it'll be impossible to kind of figure out what's going on. So every time the room ends, I should probably reset those. So global base score needs to get reset to 0. And multiplier score needs to get reset to 0. I don't need to worry about the stage score because that should be okay. Alright, let's see if it works now. Let's kill some ghosts. And Decent Scrimp mentions cheats enabled, I see. Yes, I do need my cheats. I won't let anyone else cheat, but I'm allowed to cheat. So let's kill a few cowboys here to make sure that stuff gets reset properly. Okay, so I've got my 100 points. Hopefully I can survive. Let's turn on invincibility for me. Now I'm invincible. That was worth a ton of points. Okay, let's see where I'm going. So I killed 7 cowboys, and I got a total of 5,600 points. So if I killed 7 cowboys, each of those is worth 100 points. I think that's how it worked. Or maybe it was 5 basic cowboys and then maybe a green cowboy or something, because I think the green cowboys are worth 200. But anyway, the basic thing, if I killed them with just normal bullets, it would add up to 700 points, which is not a lot. But because I did hit them with like exploding bullets and all this other stuff, I got all these extra bonus points. So that's cool. And those do add up to 5,600. And since I just started the game, that is my total score because it's the first stage. So math is okay on this stage. Let's see what happens on the next stage. And I am still invincible, so if I get hit, I don't have any problems. Guess I should try to get some multipliers going. Well, I didn't get any multipliers going, so obviously I didn't get any bonus points, but I killed 4 ghosts, which is worth 300 times 4, that's 1,200. The stage score was just 1,200, and that gets added to my total score, which is 6,800. So that's working fine. Let's check one more stage. This one's going to be kind of a nightmare, because it can be kind of hard to kill these scorpion. That's why they're worth more points, by the way. But this is probably the stage that tests the whole pinball mechanic the best, because you do have to get things behind scorpions. But I can also use these cacti to my advantage. I can also use my charged shot, I suppose. There we go. Okay, so I got 5 scorpions dead, so 300 times 5, 1,500. Got a bonus on one of them, so that was 300 times 2 points. 3 points? Yeah. So that's fine, and it does add up to 2,100, so we're golden. And Panabits mentions it's hard. Bank shots each of them easily. So yeah, I say this is the hard level, and then just suddenly, like the first 2 scorpions, I just bank shot them like I'm a pull shark or something. I got lucky. But mouse aiming does make it easier to get those bank shots, but I got lucky. It's not skill at all. But we got our menu working. So now after every level, it shows how many points you got, you know, where those points came from, how it's doing compared to your total score. And I guess, you know, there's other things I could add to this in the future, which is one, like I have in the task list here at the bottom, point values count up faster and faster. This is done, so I'll move that aside. So that'll be something for the future. But, you know, have the things tick up and then kind of go down one by one. The player can skip that if they want to, and then I'll also have in the future scrolling text down here that says, you know, you've moved, you've walked, you know, 200 yards, or you shot your gun like 6 times, or you dodged like 20 times, or, you know, all those little interesting kind of stats that'll just kind of scroll on the bottom or something. I'm thinking about that, but you know, the basic concept is in there, so that is good, and it worked out. Right about the 2-hour mark, so that's pretty good. So I'll close GameMaker down. Just kind of review what I did get through today. So the first thing was I do have that kind of black box showing up at the end of every level. That was done, and then it transitions into the next level, which is fine. Transitions when the player does, you know, press enter or fire button or something like that. I do have to switch that to any key. And then I do have the proper text displaying with all the proper values. I do need to add, I guess, press fire to continue, so I guess I do need to do that. But that is episode 33, Awkward Transitions. let's actually plan out next episode. So episode 34, which will be next week. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, obviously, because I need to make the animated short before I can actually name the episode. Whoops. Here we go. Move list. Position. Probably around there. Okay. And that's what Torpid Sloth taught me, so it saves a lot of time, especially now that I'm up to like 33 episodes. Almost got the position right. Actually, I did need it over here. Let's get it over there. All right. What should I do next week? These are just kind of tasks I can kind of clean up before next week. It's not a big deal. Results screen, game over. I guess that would be kind of a good place to start, because it is kind of continuing what we're doing this week. But since, Decent Script did mention the digitized voice thing, and I am kind of interested to do it, I do have the ability to do a transition now, so you know what, I'll do that. Ready draw sequence at the level start. So before any enemies show up, before the player can move or do anything like that, just gonna have an old school kind of fight sequence where it's like ready start. Just have text appear on the screen like ready draw, and then boom, you're good and you're in the game. And if I can pull it off, let's add that digitized voice so I can get my Sinistar voice in there. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll even try recording the voice on the show. Go nuts with that. If I do finish that early, let's see, what should I do? Because I think this results screen, it wouldn't be too bad to do. Game over, win. We'll think about it. I might switch this task out depending on how this stuff goes next week, but I'll keep it in there for now. This is just kind of a result screen if you lose the game or you win the game. So if you beat all the stages or you die, then obviously you get your usual continue return to title thing, but it should be a result screen that shows how many points you got total throughout the game. So I'm going to need a few more global variables to keep track of that total. That shouldn't be too bad. Let's keep those for episode 34 next week. And I think that's going to wrap me up. Let me just catch up to the chat with you guys really quick, just to make sure I don't leave anyone hanging before I jump off the episode. Pandabit says, how many tavern wenches wooed in the stage, for example? Yes, exactly. Could have dancing girls who are ducking the bullets or something, and then however many times those dancing girls duck the bullets could be one of the things that scrolls by. And Pandabits does mention that's a necessary metric. I think so too. You definitely need to have how many tavern wenches wooed in the stage. And maybe there's bonus multipliers for that as well. Thank you guys for watching. Let's see. I should get my times straight here, so let me bring that up. There we go. I just need to get my time zone straight because daylight savings time does kind of screw me up. It's not daylight savings time, and that's what's screwing me up because I remember all the old times. So first off, thank you, Cirrus, Decent Scrimp, Pandabits, and Torpid Sloth for dropping by and saying hi in the chat. Thank you to the rest of you guys who are lurking out there. I definitely don't mind lurkers because that's what I do on Twitch a lot. Just kind of jump in, do something in the background while I'm kind of watching someone, do their thing. Do like a lot of the game dev channels out there. So if you prefer staying quiet, I don't mind at all. I don't check your names and give you shout outs or anything like that. If you do want to jump in the chat, feel free to. And if you're working on any games, feel free to post the link now in the Twitch feed if you want before people kind of go away. But thank you for watching our game development show. You can catch past episodes in this one over at youtube.com Tengu Studio. It usually takes me a couple of days to put a new episode up. If you're watching this later on YouTube, come drop by the live show we do every week on Twitch TV Blue Tengu. We do that regular schedule, same time every week. If you're in the Americas, it's Fridays, 3 to 5 Pacific, 4 to 6 Mountain, 5 to 7 Central, 6 to 8 Eastern. If you're in the UK, it starts at 11 p.m. on Friday night and goes until 1 a.m. Saturday morning. If you're here in Japan with me, it's just Saturday morning, 8 to 10. And if you're in Australia, which is similar to my time zone, it starts anywhere from 8 to 10 in the morning on Saturday, depending on where you live. And if you're in New Zealand, it starts at 11 a.m. Saturday morning. By the way, if any of you guys are from other territories and you want me to give you a time for it, then just let me know. I'll try to look it up. We do always announce what we're doing through Twitter, so follow Tengu to keep track of when the live show starts or episodes go up, or follow us on Twitch or YouTube. I do appreciate it when you guys follow. It does make my day to see new followers, and especially on like Twitter and stuff, seeing what you guys are doing, because I usually follow back, so it's just kind of interesting to me to see what you guys are up to. But of course, you can see what we're up to anytime over at www.bluetengu.com as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week and next time.